around, making you feel at home. And I'm also grateful to Swami Nikileshwarananda for the invitation that you made to me. This theme of interfaith harmony is cutting across all religions. And the fact that we have come together today is that our interest and our concern that religion should not be a source of discord, fanaticism, destruction, but rather should be to build up humanity. The need of interfaith dialogue cannot remain just on an academic level. It has to come down to experience. And we would, as a Christian, we would first of all think of making each person more spiritual in his or her religion. I was in touch with a political leader who was in the dumps at that moment, and he was very much disturbed. And he said, "Father, what we need to be is more spiritual." And what is spiritual? Spiritual is that deep experience of God as Father. And when I realized myself as a child of God, I realized that my life has to be holy like the Father is holy. So that is the core of transformation. Many good ideas, expressions have been made here, that inner awareness that God dwells not only in me, but in every other human being. And that's what Mother Teresa would often say, to see the face of God in the most destitute of persons. And so that reaching out, that has also been mentioned here, reaching out to the other, is a way of coming together. Being just in a classroom environment will certainly help, but more helpful is when one mingles with the crowd and responds to the needs of people. Jesus had one prayer, the Our Father, and in that we ask for our daily bread. This daily bread that is does not often reach the poor, children who go to bed hungry. It is a shame on our humanity. This is where we need to reach out, do good to the other. Goodness is an expression of our awareness of God. And that's what we share. Share goodness, share the acts of goodness. There is that last judgment scene that Jesus spoke of, where you come down to those who are in prison, to the hungry, the naked, and so on. It is to the least of these brethren that we have to make them feel that they are part of the entire human family. We are building up this human family, and that human family will mean that I be ready to give something of myself, of my goods, of my time, of my person. And one of the more urgent needs to build up this interfaith harmony is the readiness to forgive. It's painful sometimes to read in the press when somebody is condemned for an ill deed and there is sort of joy over it. There should be happiness that justice prevails, but pain that a human person is suffers, a human person suffers. So these principles, which are spread out in every religion, have to be activated in each one's life. And if there are possible, there are ways and means where NGOs, civil rights groups come together and work for the rights of all people. That will bring about a closeness among ourselves. I pray that this evening, when we have met here, we know one another's thoughts. We can come together back, not only on a forum here, but out in the streets, joining hands to make our world a better place to live in. Thank you. God bless you.
Archbishop Fernandez for a very illuminative speech. I would now request Mr. Sami Ubere, who is the President of World Peace Council India chapter, who has come all the way from Bombay in spite of busy schedule. He is moving all around. And in one sentence I will say he needs no introduction. He is so popular. And when he will start talking, you will know it. Thank you.
आप मुझे समझे नहीं समझ पाएंगे जब तक कि मैं ये हरकत न करूँगा। बात समझ गए होंगे कि मैं कौन हूँ। आज के इस इंटरफेस डायलॉग में मैं कुछ थोड़ी बहुत गुजराती में, मराठी में, हिंदी में, इंग्लिश में 7 मिनट में तो बात
अरबियन नहीं,
अरबियन में नहीं कहूँगा, पश्तो में नहीं कहूँगा, सिंधी में नहीं कहूँगा, पंजाबी में नहीं कहूँगा और जो तो बताइए। I congratulate the Udishin Swami Vivekananda Memorial, Vadodara, and the K.J. Somaiya Bharatiya Sanskriti Pitham, Mumbai. His Holiness Swami Paramanandi, my very old and young friend, Dr. K.J. Somaiya, Dr. Shantilal Ji Somaiya, Dr. Shantilal Ji Somaiya, पहले मैंने K.J. Somaiya क्यों कहा वो भी मैं बता दूँ कि K.J. Somaiya साहब ने एक ऐसा पुत्र दुनिया को दिया जो शांति का मसीहा, अपने नाम शांतिलाल से भी बना और अपने कार्य से भी बना। मैं उस जबान में आऊँगा जिसको आप सुनते हैं और उस जबान में भी कहूँगा जिसको आप समझ के तालियां बजाते हैं। हमारे इस मंच पर बैठे हुए मेरे तमाम साथी स्पीकर जितने इस होलीनेस हैं और साथ में हर होलीनेस भी हमारे साथ में मेरी बहनें और हमारे जिनकी दावत पर मैं आया स्वामी निखिलेश्वरानंद जी, जिनसे मेरी मुंबई में मुलाकात हुई थी। जब दुनिया आपस में बहुत लड़ती है तो फिर उसके बाद ख्याल आता है फेथफुल लोगों को कि इंटरफेथ के डायलॉग पे बात करें। The Quran offers very clear guidelines and encouragement for Muslims to engage in interfaith dialogue. According to Islam, Quran and Hadith, at all times, Muslim must show the best of manners and wisdom when speaking of faith to others. One must listen carefully and share opinions with careful thought and patience. Invite, Quran says, invite all to the way of thy Lord with wisdom and beautiful preaching, and argue with them in ways that they are best and most gracious. For thy Lord knows best who have strayed from his path and who receive guidelines. From Quran, Para 16, Ayat 125. And do not argue with the followers of the book except by what is best, save with those of them who act unjustly and say, we believe in that which has been revealed to us and revealed to you, and our God and your God is one, and to him do we submit. Quran, Para 29, verse 46. In Abrahamic religions, peace is a basic concept of Islamic thought. The Arabic term Islam itself is usually translated as submission of desires to the will of God. It comes from the term asalama, which means to surrender or resign oneself. The Prophet Muhammad, in his last sermon, he says, "Hurt no one so that no one may hurt you. Seek for mankind that which you are the desire for yourself, that you may be a believer. Treat well as a neighbor the one who lives near you, that you may be a Muslim, one who submits to the God. That which you want for yourself, seek for mankind." Islamic tradition dictates that prophets were sent by God to every nation. لِكُلِّ قَوْمٍ هَادٍ. The Quran says that God has sent in every nation, for every community, لِكُلِّ قَوْمٍ هَادٍ. They have been sent for the at different stages and era time. One of the terms meaning peace and peacemaking in Arabic, that is sulh, which is used in the Quran, is also the root of the word Islah, denoting development and improvement in order to achieve peace. This term is used to refer to peacemaking. Peacemakers are agents of the good, and those who breach it are elements of corruption and sin. It is therefore observed that peace and peacemaking are seen in Islamic tradition as part and parcel of human development. Justice, insaf, nyay, as outlined in Quran, refers to balance and is the foundation on which creation stands. Be just, that is next to piety, and fear Allah, for Allah is well acquainted with all that they do. According to the Quran, the ideal society is Dar Salam, literally the house of peace, of which it intones. And Allah invites to the abode of peace and guides whom He pleases into the right path. The establishment of abode of peace on earth means the established peace in every life at all levels, which includes personal, social, state and international levels. अब आपने मुझे तो एक तोते की तरह सुन लिया। जब दिल जला है आप लोगों का, हम लोगों का, तो हम बैठे हैं इंटरफेथ पे डायलॉग के सिलसिले में। मैंने अंग्रेजी में बात खत्म की, अब आता हूँ तमारा साहेजी नगरी में मुलाकात आवे छूँ। मुझे गुजराती उतनी खूबसूरत नहीं आती जितनी खूबसूरत आपकी नगरी है, जिसके बारे में मेरे साथी डेस्मंड साहिल ने कहा। नाम उनका कायल है, जब ये उर्दू में, ये हिंदी में इधर राजा का कायल, तो मुझ जैसा लेजी और कायल न समझिएगा उसको। ऐ इश्क ये दुनिया वाले, डॉक्टर शांतिलाल जी की मैं तवज्जो चाहूँगा, स्वामी जी आपकी, ऐ इश्क ये दुनिया वाले बेकार की बातें करते हैं, फायर के बमों का इल्म नहीं और झनकार की बातें करते हैं। मैं जो कुछ कहूँगा सच कहूँगा, और सच के अलावा आप कहेंगे कुछ नहीं कहूँगा। इंटरफेथ डायलॉग के इस मंच पर हम सब फेथ वाले जमा हैं, लेकिन विश्व में हम एक दूसरे के लिए जब फेथफुल नहीं रहे तो इंटरफेथ डायलॉग का राग क्यों छेड़ा जा रहा है, इसकी जरूरत क्यों पेश आई? इस्लाम पर आपने मुझे विचार प्रकट करने के लिए बुलाया, लेकिन जब हमारे देश में और सारे देश में हम ये नारा तो लगाते हैं तो वसुदेव कुटुंबकम, यानी कि है सारी मखलूक कुंबा खुदा सा, लेकिन आपको ये आश्चर्य होगा कि सारे विश्व में हर आदमी मजहब से खासकर नई नस्ल भागती जा रही है। ऐसा क्यों? मैं माफ़ी चाहता हूँ आपसे इस बात के लिए। आपने बहुत सही वक्त से सही तौर पे ताली बजाई, जबकि आप यंग नहीं हैं, और मैं आपको यंग इसलिए समझता हूँ कि ये मेरी नई नस्ल का दुख है, ये करबला है, ये करबोबला है, ये क्या है? मैं पिछले 50 साल से जर्नलिज्म में हूँ और मैं ये जानता हूँ कि मैं पत्रकार हूँ और मैं पुत्रकार भी हूँ, इसलिए कि मेरे पिताजी भी पत्रकार थे, तो जाहिर है कि बेटा भी वो जो होगा तो पत्रकार होगा। अब मैं आपके सामने ये चित्र पेश करता हूँ कि दुनिया में मैं जहाँ भी गया, हर जगह गया, मुझे बहुत कम लोग ऐसे मिलते हैं जिसका मैं आगे जिक्र करूँगा। इसकी सबसे बड़ी वजह हमारे बीच ऐसे तत्व हैं जो धर्म को पॉलिटिक्स से जोड़ते हुए पूरे विश्व में एक ऐसा तांडव मचाए हुए हैं कि शैतान भी शर्माने लगा है। मैंने जितने भी धर्मों का मुताला किया, समझा तो ऐसा लगा कि हम अनेक होकर भी एक नहीं और नेक नहीं। क्यों? हम इंसानों ने कभी ईसा मसीह को, जीसस क्राइस्ट को क्रूसिफाई किया। मैंने इंसानों कहा है, मैंने यहाँ किसी भी धर्म का ऐसा समुदाय का नाम नहीं लिया, आगे भी नहीं लूँगा। हमने बड़े बड़े प्रॉफिट्स को, महात्माओं को, ऋषियों को, मुनियों को शहादत का जाम पिलाया। आप शहादत का जाम समझ गए होंगे कि हमने उन्हें कभी जहर से मारा, कभी उन्हें जान से मारा। हमने हज़रत अली, इमाम हसन, इमाम हुसैन को भी जाम शहादत पिलाया, जबकि वो प्रॉफिट मोहम्मद के नवासे थे। दूर क्यों जाइए, हमारी इसी धरती से एक आंधी उठी जो गांधी के खून की प्यासी। हम में वो सभी शामिल हैं जो किसी भी धर्म, जाति, बिरादरी या किसी भी ऐसे समुदाय से ताल्लुक रखते हैं जो महात्माओं, ऋषियों, प्रॉफिट, सूफी, संतों की विचारधारा से इसे अलग विचारधारा समझते हैं। कई जहने रसा पर्दे के पीछे काम करते हैं, वही कातिल नहीं जो लेके खंजर सामने आए। आपको समझना चाहिए कि कातिल के हाथ में खंजर हो, उसे कातिल न समझिए, कि उसके पीछे कौन है। हमें ऐसे लोगों को ढूंढने की ज़रूरत है। अभी मेरे दोस्त लक्ष्मण साहिल ने कहा और दूसरे हमारे स्पीकर ने कहा और हमारे आज बिशप ने कहा कि हमें, और डॉक्टर शांतिलाल सुमैया ने कहा कि हमें ऐसे काम में आगे जुटना चाहिए। हमें इस छोटी सी इस मजलिस में, इस महफिल में, इस छोटे से सेमिनार में बहुत सारी बातें हम बहुत अबव हाई लेवल पे हम करते हैं, लेकिन जब शहर में हम जाते हैं, एक समुदाय वाला दूसरा समुदाय वाला, कोई किसी से हाथ लग जाता है, किसी से गाड़ी टकरा जाती है, तो देश में क्या होता है उसका आपको अंदाजा है। हमें ऐसे तत्वों से दूर करने की बड़ी ज़रूरत है। ऐसे लोगों को ढूंढ निकालना है, ऐसी ताकतों को से हमारे देश को और विश्व को बचाना है। हम उसी को कामयाब हो सकते हैं। हमें ये कहते हुए गर्व होगा कि हम इंसान हैं, मानव हैं, न हिंदू हैं, न मुसलमान हैं, न सिख, न पारसी, न दलित, न बुद्धिस्ट, न जैन, जो भी और मज़ाहिब होंगे, आप उनकी भी लिस्ट तैयार करेंगे। इंसानियत की सेवा, इंसानियत की सेवा या खिदमत हमारा उद्देश्य होना चाहिए। यही है इबादत, यही तीनों ईमान के काम आए दुनिया में इंसान के इंसान। और आखिर में अपनी बात खत्म करूँगा, मुझे मालूम नहीं कि 7 मिनट हो रहे हैं। शक्ति भी शांति भी भक्तों के गीत में है, धरती के वासियों की मुक्ति प्रीत में है। लेकिन अगर आप कहें तो अल्लामा इकबाल, डॉक्टर सर मोहम्मद इकबाल के शेर को मैं अगर औंधा कर दूँ, उल्टा कर दूँ, तो अभी सुबह सुबह ये काम मैं कर सका, तो आपके लिए ज़रा मज़े की बात होगी कि मुर्गी सियासतों की संडों के हित में है, सच्चाई और शराफत डंडों के हित में है। आप समझ रहे होंगे मेरी बात, मुझे गुजराती में तर्जुमा न करना पड़े। बस हाँ में हाँ मिलाना अब तो सभी अगर शक्ति भी शांति भी घोंडों के हित में है। मैं इसके बाद आखिर में कहूँगा कि लालच घमंड इसके किसी काम में नहीं, मौजो हसद का ज़र तो इस जाम में नहीं। ये कहती कि इसमें है पैगाम है सभी, आतंक जिसको कहते हैं इस्लाम में नहीं। इखलास कुल अमन वफा प्यार उन्नति देते हैं इनको रंग गलत गलत क्यों सियासती, कह दे कोई अहले तासुब है समी, इस्लाम के हैं असल मानी सलामती। भाई से जुदा भाई हुआ जाता है, क्यों जहर तासुब का पिया जाता है, फिरकों में बढ़ते हुए इंसान सभी मिलजुल कर रहें साथ, तो क्या जाता है।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया सामी हुबेरे जी, thank you very much for your very interesting and very encouraging talk. Now we have amidst us Dr. Kala Acharya, the director of KJ Somaiya Bharati Sanskrit Peetham, Mumbai. As I told you, she is a great organizer. She has organized many interfaith conferences, and she is very learned, and we are very happy that she is with us. I now request her, Dr. Kala Acharya, to speak on the Hindu viewpoint about the interfaith harmony.
पूज्य स्वामी प्रभानंद जी, स्वामी निखिलेश्वरानंद जी, आर्चबिशप फर्नांडिस, Samuel Bubere, Professor Des Cahill, Dr. Somaiya, other dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. I have to put in front of you, I have to place the Hindu viewpoint of interfaith dialogue. Friends, when I quote Vedas, I don't want to say that at the time of Vedas there were different religions and there was conflict amongst them, and that's why these particular words are pronounced. No, I will not claim that. I know that at that time there so many religions did not exist. Still, some words from the Vedas, some hymns from the Vedas give us insight about the attitude of interfaith dialogue. Those words which are useful even today. For example, just to give one example, the Rigveda says, Ano Bhadraha Krato Yantu Ishvata. The Rigvedic seer doesn't say that what I say is true and what I say is only good. He says, let noble thoughts come to us from all directions. Not only this, the Yajurveda, the seer from the Yajurveda says, Mitrasya Chakshusha Sarvani Bhutani Samikshe. Mitrasya Chakshusha Sarvani Bhutani Samiksha Mare. I look at all people from all corners of the world with the eye of a friend. Not only this, the Atharva Veda talks about, even though it talks about the concordance in family, it gives us a very beautiful thought. In a particular hymn, the seer from the Atharva Veda says that I create friendship amongst you. I create wholeheartedness among you, the family members, and further he says, one should love another person like a cow loves the newborn calf. Vatsam jatam iva agnya. Not only this, in that sutta, it has been said, Ma bhrata bhrataram viksham, ma swasaram uta swasa. Let not a brother be jealous of another brother. And here, friends, I want to say that we should not limit the meaning of the word brother with blood relation. As Swami Vivekananda had said in Chicago, brothers and sisters. And he made the family of human beings. He formed that family, calling every person brother or sister. In the same way, what Yajurveda seer from Atharva Veda has said, that let not a brother hate another brother. It means that whosoever is a person in this world whom I can call as brother, I should not hate him for any reason. Such beautiful statements from the Vedas give us insight in interfaith dialogue. Not only this, in Rigveda it has been said, Indram Mitram Varnam Agni Mahu Atha Divyas Supurna Garutman Ekam Shad Vipraha Bauda Vadanti Agni Yamam Matarishvana Mahu. In Rigveda it has been said that there is only one reality called by various names. In Chandogya Upanishad this thought has been developed and it has been said that just as by knowing one lump of clay, all the clay is known. Just as by knowing one ornament of gold, all gold is known. Even if we may call it a necklace or a bangle, it is just difference of name and form. Vacharamanam vikaro namadeyam. But it is gold. In the same way, we say that there is only one reality called by various names. So for us, different religions have different views, different deities. we say that there is one reality. And our friends from another religion sometimes misunderstand us, thinking that we are saying that we believe in one reality, it belongs to Hinduism, and we think that all other gods from all other religion are to be merged in that reality. No, friends, our reality about which our seers speak, they say that it doesn't have any name, it doesn't have any form, Nirguna and Nirakara. So we are not talking of confining all gods from all religion to something, some god whom we have conceived. We are just saying that there is only one reality which has different names and different forms, and hence we can always respect other religions, their beliefs, their gods, and this particular viewpoint has been further developed by the Upanishads. You all may be knowing in Kathopanishad it has been said, Agnir Yatheko Bhuvanam Pravishto, Athva Vayur Yatheko Bhuvanam Pravishto, etc. I don't want to deal with those particular expressions, as you have understood the point which I have told. Further insight we get from the Vedas or Upanishads about interfaith or about relationship with others is that the Isha Upanishad says that a person has to see every living being as his own self. If we think that every living being is my own self, and if I can consider myself as one with all living beings, then what is the cause for hatred? What is the cause for delusion? Yastu sarvani bhutani atmanevanu pashyati. That particular statement, or yasmin sarvani bhutani atmaiva bhut vijanata tatra go moha kasyoka aikatvam anupashyata. Speaking about unity, these particular points from the Vedic religion tell us the importance of unity, and this particular position can lead us to interfaith dialogue. As Swami Vivekananda had rightly said that all religions are true, there are different paths to one reality, and this guy had quoted one particular saying which in Sanskrit says Ruchina Vachitra Rujukutana Nana Padasham Nurnam Ego Gamya Tomasi Paisa Manavaiva. That maybe some paths are crooked, some are straight, some people have that particular bent of mind, but ultimately it is one particular reality, one particular God to whom we all surrender. So seeing this particular unity leads us to interfaith dialogue. And the last theme of Rugveda, which says Sangachatam, Samvadatam, Samvomanam Sijanata, Samani Mahaputi, Samanam Hridayaniva, Samanamastu Vomana, Yatava Susamasati. It says that let your minds be similar, let your thoughts be similar, let whatever you say should be similar, so that in this world you can live together happily. The Susaha Sati. Saha means together. The existence is coexistence according to Rigveda. And it is not only coexistence, Su, that is happily we should coexist. We should be in this world. I remember another passage from, I am not going to take a lot of your time, but in Chandogya Upanishad it has been said that just as different bees, they take honey from different flowers, but ultimately when it gathers together in one beehive, can we know this is from this particular flower, this is little bit sour, this is little bit pungent, this is sweet? We don't know. They all is mingled together. In the same way, we find there are similar thoughts, good thoughts in all religions. For example, my brother Father Fernandez told about what Mother Teresa, Saint Teresa said about seeing the face of God in the destitute. Swami Vivekananda also said, he said that instead of giving all milk and ghee to, in the name of God, why don't we remember our brothers who are hungry? Why don't we remember the sons of India who are hungry? We have similar thoughts. We forget the identity, though similarities are there, and though there are differences are identities about those religions. But the noble thoughts from all religions, we can collect like different bees. Can't we consider all these religious leaders from different faiths as bees taking honey from different flowers? We can put them all together and enjoy the sweetness of that honey. My last point is that, friends, with all these Vedic statements, you will say that we are all in ancient times. No. We know that. All of us know the importance of window. What is window meant for? Window is not meant for looking at the window. We look through window and we admit. The residents of India do admit that whatever view I can see from my window can be different from the view that my neighbor sees from his window. I must not say that he should also have the same view. Whatever view he is having is false. No, we never say. That's why in India, in our Jainism, there was Anekantavada, which can see different angles, which can say that this may be true or this may not be true. These positions were taken because we know the importance of window. So, we know that behind the walls which we have created, there are many other beautiful gardens. And time has come that we break these walls which we have created and enjoy the fragrance coming from the growth of other religions. With these words, I take your leave. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kalacharya, for very learned discourse. And now we can appreciate why she has been selected as the Indian ambassador for the World Parliament Religion to be held in Melbourne in 2009. Right, we can understand why she has been selected. Thank you very much, Dr. Kalacharya. We have with us Dr. Nitin Vyas, the Dean of Faculty of Arts, who has been a very good friend of Ramkrishna Mission for many years. And he is the Dean of Faculty of Arts of the Maharaja Sayaji University of Baroda. I will now request him to give his learned discourse on the interfaith harmony from the Buddhist viewpoint. Dr. Nitin Vyas.
Chairperson, Revered Swamiji, dignitaries from the dais and of the dais and friends. Few days before, as Swamiji referred also, very few days were there. And he asked me, Nitin bhai, I want some Buddhist monks, some Buddhist followers in Baroda, but I don't find it. Can you name it? I just humbly said, Swamiji, I give some name, but then by just some casual way I said, Swamiji, I had an opportunity given by His Holiness Dalai Lama to translate his lecture on the spot. Swamiji, if I tell you that my thoughts on Buddhism found place in very renowned small encountering religions book from USA. Then of his own he said, no, then I don't want to, so I don't want to, Swamiji, I want to come, but no, you have to come. Just, I am a follower of Hinduism, but I am convinced of Buddhism as well. And only from that privilege I am here before you. As you know, Buddhism arose in India some 2500 before in a particular situation. It is considered as avatar of Buddhism. But at the same time, if you see an irony at the back, that it grew like wildfire in succeeding centuries of origin, but later it was so disappeared. It is a fact we have to remember. For centuries, it was in 18th century, after a lapse of some 7-8 centuries, a British in search of a tiger cave. And he saw the great monuments of Ajanta, Ellora, and the scene began to change in India, that such a kind of person, though there were some ideas and thoughts prevailing in India all through the centuries, but that he belonged to India began to be convinced from that period. But all throughout that earlier period, when it was disappeared, it was so vital and viable in its ideology, in its thought and in its views, that many countries of the world, more than 25 countries of the world, have been following this religion as followers. And as the Buddhists, though they say that there may be something, these dignitaries have been widely experienced all over, they say that there may be something from India, but it is worth experiencing, that we don't have that attachment as we feel sometimes that we have lost, or we have lost something very precious from amongst us. They do not have, because they have some romantic attachment, not more than that. See, how it came and how it is vital today, it maybe as Madam Acharya said, that we are speaking from an ancient angle, but still they are very much precious and relevant from this angle, because even then when it arose by countering as the freedom of thought, as empirical understanding of the world, and this worldliness, the characteristics with which it came. It was a liberal and democratic attitude of mind. When you saw how the priests were controlling the thoughts in this country and how the democratic outlook was lacking, there was a plethora of ritualism and violence is attached with that. The worship of esoteric sects and polytheism that prevailed, it was just anarchy of thought and anarchy of morals. What he did, Buddha, he just analyzed the human consciousness extremely, in a neutral sense, beyond all passions of likes and dislikes. And he just saw that what has been prevailing in the prevailing ideologies. He said that to keep oneself away from absolute eternalism, because what it is, why religions nowadays still keep on fighting? Many issues have arisen. No, why? Because we are so much lost in some high eternal ideas on one hand, and on the other hand nihilism, because then also the moral attitude which I talked of. The hedonism prevails like everything from one gross angle to the another subtle angle. There were many ideas. So how to bring about the justice and order in society? He says, what is even the human ego? It arises and falls with the lower himself. And it is a violence of consciousness because we do not know what is this true ideal of our own self. So, he gave this approach of Madhyam Marga, or the golden mean, to understand spirituality in a different perspective which we are seeking now. It is the deepest individual quest of within himself. It is individualizing the religious experience, where the truth exists, not in books and not in authorities. It exists in you. Are you ready to analyze yourself in your consciousness? So spirituality in this sense is this deeper challenge. It is a constant inquiry in the truth of existence. And how he did, he said one has to act psycho-ethically, understanding the constant mental fragments in which we live and what we have to do. And it requires a constant discrimination that the world is a changing. It is anitya, constantly moving, we all know, and it has been said that in spite of the fact that everyone dies, we know, but still we do not know I will remain forever. And the concept of self, it is only a practical postulate and not more than that. Why do you speak about it, and when you speak what it happens? He just keeps mum on it. The true self is realized only in egolessness, anatta. So, for him, the self or the world, the whole phenomenal means purificatory actions, prajna, it is inward contemplation, and samadhi, the concentration on truth. So, along with it, the famous Ashtanga Marg given by him is also well known, and we know that it is quite popular in our cultural traditions. So, what he says, what it requires is a new consciousness. We have to understand anew every moment. We cannot go on with the past. Our habit is to live what has gone into the past, and we just construct for the future. But where is the present? It is for present that we use this challenge. And to please the mind of its rag and dvesa, and in this process, to decontextualize our mind from all names and forms regarding the self, as he says, it is constituted of sanna, rupa, samvedana, nama and rupa. These are the different ways in which what continuously we feel in our own entity of consciousness, and this is what, if we try to analyze it, we realize that there is nothing like one which can generate rag and dvesa. So it is to engage life through such a higher state of understanding and living without depending on others merely, on the authoritarian structures and conventional routine structure. It is not a mere faith, it is a way of living for millions of persons in the world. It is a breaking of our old routine cycles of likes and dislikes, whether it is agreed or not, in West today. With all religions that we all are there, existed. And with the development of science and technology and the national positiveness, it has grown like anything, and the future that is looking for in the world of spiritual evolution. The place of Buddhism is distinct in the sense that it is the most appealing religion intellectually. Buddham Saranam Gacchami, Dhammam Saranam Gacchami, Sangham Saranam Gacchami.
Very much Dr. Nitin Bhai for the scholarly presentation. We have the first Sri Deepak Shah, the General Secretary of All India Jain Yuva Mahasangh. I request him to speak on the subject interfaith harmony from the Jain viewpoint. Sri Deepak Shah.
Probably I am the youngest speaker here. Jai Jinendra, Namaste, Adab, Sat Sri Akal. Let me first congratulate the Ramakrishna Mission for organizing and harmonizing this talk, which is very relevant at the present context. Every day in, day out, we come to know about some terrorist attack. We come to know about hundreds of people dying for hunger. People are dying for bird flu, and people are worrying now for global warming. $1 million question is, what helped us in harmonizing this so that peace and harmony can be brought across the globe? Lord Mahavir, 2600 years ago, he propounded that if we want to bring harmony, then 5 principles are to be observed. If these 5 principles are observed, probably there would be a peace and harmony in the world. These principles are ahimsa, non-violence, aparigraha, satya, brahmacharya. These principles of aparigraha, that is, every man, every person should decide the limit, how much he should have. I should not ask for 365 shoots. If I have, what other will do? I should have limit myself, that I should have 5 dresses, 6 dresses. So, aparigraha. If you leave something behind, then people there can use it. We have asteya. Asteya we mean one should not snatch the things of others. We should not steal things of others. We don't have that right. The things which we don't belong to, we should not. And this is what is a stay. Satya is another principle which can be saved. If we follow this, then probably we can be saved from many complications today. Then we have Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya, Swamiji, for Jain strength there are certain strict rules. And for Jain Shravak, it is said that Swadhara, that is, one should have sexual relations with only and only his wife. Probably, if we follow this, then there would be no quarrel in this world. Madam Dr. Kala Acharya, she was talking about Anekantavad. Lord Mahavir has preached on this. And she was narrating in a different way. From looking at the window, you have different perspective, different angle. The same thing Lord Mahavir has said, that people have thoughts, their own thoughts. We must respect. The moment we start respecting the thoughts of others, I am a father of my daughter, I am an uncle for my nephew, I am a son to my mother. So one roof has to play many roles. There are many other such things which Prophet Mahavir has talked about. Now basically, ahimsa, the non-violence, is the basic principles of Jainism. Today, ecologists have started realizing, and they have started talking about environmental protection. But Lord Mahavir has taught this 2006 years ago. All the creature in the world, they have their own place, and killing them would disturb the balance of the environment. Ancient scholar, American scientist Richard Coles, in his book Silent Spring, he has written, due to excess use of DDT, Cold Spring season has become birthless in Florida. He found that there is an ecological imbalance. The favorite disciple of Mahavir Pujya Gautamji, once he said, non-vegetarian should visit slaughterhouse at least once. And they should imagine, they should try themselves in the position of that animal who are to be slaughtered soon. And if they empathize with the animal, they would never ever have urge to eat meat and turn into vegetarian. The fear-filled eyes of the animals and chilling silence of the slaughterhouse would melt the heart of the staunchest meat eater, because finally all human beings are sensitive to basic emotions. We know the principle, every action has a reaction, and this principle of nature continues to work. Whatever you throw, it rebounds and reback to you. If you harass others, if you disturb their peace, nature returns the same to you. The trend toward today is becoming vegetarian, not only in India, but across the globe. I came across one book where I read that there is a Gentle Strength store which has been opened in the famous city Arizona in USA. And Gentle store is not a fast food chain, but it is basically a store which sells product free from animal substance. And thus, it is not only in India, but the whole world is now availing the benefits of vegetarian. Now some people have myths that only non-vegetarian can put on, they have strength and everything. But let me remind the success of sports icon Anil Kumble is pure vegetarian cricketer. Andrews Calling is a bodybuilder which stands the point that vegetarian food too can support champions. Now, our honorable Guruji, Jain scholar, Acharya, Sri Haribhadra Suraswati Maharaj Sahab, has written 1444 books. One of each amongst one is Dharma Bindu, where he has written Maitradi Bhava Sanyuktam Tad Dharma Iti Kirtaye. Maitradi Bhava Sanyuktam Tad Dharma Iti Kirtaye. Meaning thereby, friendship is the basis of religion. All friendship to all, and that is the base for every religion. Now friends, those who have spoke before me, they have also tried to convey the same meaning, that friendship prevails. And if we start believing that all the living creatures are our friends, violence will become exempt from the world. Someone asked Lord Mahavir, "Oh Lord, please tell me the gist of Jain philosophy." Then Bhagavan answered in one sentence, "Live and let live others." And that is what is the base. Unfortunately, what Swami Sahib was talking about, that there are many ignorant and so-called spiritual leaders. They have harmed the religion even more than atheists and non-believers have ever before. I do not have anything against the genuinely spiritual leaders, saints. In fact, I have great honor for the service these saints are doing to the religion. It is only for those so-called spiritual leaders making a show of their non-existent spirituality who harm our religion the most. I am reminded of one point, one saying, इस देश को दुश्मनों से नहीं गद्दारों से खतरा है, खजानों को चोरों से नहीं पहरेदारों से खतरा है। धर्म के विषय में कसस्त सावधानी की जरूरत है, इसे नास्तिकों से नहीं ठेकेदारों से खतरा है। Friends, Bhagavan Mahavir has preached friendship and merely love for all living creature. Forgive others wrongdoing. Forgive others wrongdoing and do not harbor ill feeling for anyone. Lord Mahavir has shown a path of giving forgiveness, asking for forgiveness. All Jains all over the world, there is a special day we call Samvatsari. On Samvatsari we have to perform 3 hours special puja. We have to offer. In that we have one line, very important, which is the base of the whole Mahapratikraman, and that is Khamemi Sabbe Jiva Kamantu Me Mittimi Sarva Bhuesu Varam Vajjana Kene. Khamemi Sabbe Jiva. I beg, I forgive you. Khamemi Sabbe Jiva. I beg to forgive me, the all creature of the world, 84 lakhs. I am not talking about only human, living being, only human being, but we are talking about the whole 84 lakhs. 7 लाख पृथ्वी का है, 7 लाख अप का है, 7 लाख देव का है, 7 लाख भाव का है, 10 लाख प्रत्येक वनस्पति का है, 14 लाख साधारण वनस्पति का है, 2 लाख देवदेव, 2 लाख तेंद्रिय, 2 लाख चौरिंद्रिय, 4 लाख देवता, 4 लाख नाकी, 4 लाख त्रेंच पंचेंद्रिय, 14 लाख मनुष्य कार्य. If you add this, it is 84 lakhs. And we ask this all 84 lakhs to forgive, to give us forgiveness, and we also forgive. So we say, Khame mi sabbe jiva kamantu me, mitti mi sarva bhuesu, veram vajjana kene. मुझे किसी से वैर नहीं है, मुझे किसी से वैर नहीं है, और मैं चाहता हूं कि मेरे प्रति भी कोई वैर न रखे. And if we try to understand this point of view and talk to them across the table in a friendly manner, probably there can be a peace and harmony in the world. At the end, I would like to sing two lines of the prayer, which is very relevant today. अणु परमाणु शिव बनि जाओ, सकल विश्व नु मंगल थाओ, सर्वे जीवो मोक्षे जाओ, अरहम अहिया अमर तपो, अरहम अहिया अमर तपो। धन्यवाद।